Everybody, hello, welcome back. Another video, another article came out with a lot more information. This information is very spoiler like filled, way more in depth. So if you guys don't want shit like winners in the movie, because for some reason this article like includes that, um, I would back out now. It's from Den of the Geek. I don't necessarily know their reliability, but I know that people have used them as reference, and I assume they're legit. I haven't used them too much, but I know there's people confident in them. So we're going to go off of it. So here we go. By now, you've probably seen the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. There's a link if you haven't. You know, the one where a giant ape not only punches a giant lizard in the face and does what almost looks like a Henry Cavill arm cocking maneuver, suggests there's a new contender for the King of the Monsters, for the title of King of the Monsters. Audiences will find out when the film drops on HBO Max and in theaters on March 26, 2001. They're a little behind on their info there. Overseas it's going to be on the 26th, but not on HBO Max. But in a 2019 visit to the Australian production, Den of the Geek learned that there is more to the movie than a mere Clash of the Titans. Instead, executive producer Alex Garcia teases a film about duality of primordial and the technological. Elements that pervade the film narratively and aesthetically. And of course, there will be throwdowns between two marquee monsters and possibly a mechanized one who might have a history together. They're just not even holding back. Oh my god. So you guys know too, there's a lot of info in this video that will sound familiar because I talked about it earlier, but all of it gets added onto. It's all extended. There's a lot. There's a lot here. So just stick around. Don't think it's just a repeat of earlier. The Monsterverse main event. The screams are noticeable in Godzilla vs. Kong production in the Gold Coast, Queensland, rather than emanating from victims of a monster rampage. The sound of roller coaster passengers at Warner Brothers Movie World right next door. But there will be monsters in the village roadside studio offices, in a conference room filled with journalists. The walls are adored with concept art creatures, including the tentacular prize fighters duking it out. This is obviously the title event of the Monsterverse series, says Garcia. Directed by Wingard, Blair Witch, you're next. The legendary Warner Brothers, starring Alexander Skarsgård and Millie Bobby Brown, reprising her role as Madison Russell from Godzilla King of Monsters. Garcia says the upcoming film has even more scope beyond the central bout of Godzilla and Kong. Here's that image from earlier. Great HD. As you guys can see, we're going to come back to this. In a separate interview with Wingard, conducted via Zoom this February, the director, who watched every single Godzilla movie as preparation, described the film as an exploration of monsters past and future, with two concurrent storylines organized with Team Godzilla and Team Kong. Setting the stage. Set roughly 5 years after the events of Godzilla King of the Monsters, the world has changed. The genie is out of the bottle, and mankind knows monsters exist. Life goes on despite it being an uneasy existence. But the balance that existed before 2014's Godzilla is reestablished. Godzilla himself has been restated as the alpha predator, and the monsters, aka Titans, have remained largely dormant. These are creatures who are on the surface, says Garcia. They aren't roaming around destroying things, but they exist. There are occasional landings, issues, and bouts of destruction. Responding to the new reality, humanity enacts safeguards and defense mechanisms, and there has been some rebuilding thanks to Apex, which Garcia describes as megalithic technological. I don't know that word. Think of it as an extreme version of Amazon or Apple. To complicate matters, Godzilla has been acting a little erratically, attacking certain cities and facilities seemingly at random. That drives the Titan-focused organization Monarch to undertake its first mission into the Hollow Earth via its base camp on Skull Island, where the movie begins. The movie begins in Skull Island, not Antarctica. So those fake plot leaks earlier, because people are still asking me, and they still believe those fake plot leaks, that because they mention Antarctica like this. Listen, guys, it literally says right here the film starts in Skull Island, not in Antarctica with Kong. I digress. Alright, so anyways, they're going to take a device, the Orca Z, into the center of the Earth to draw the creature slowly back into the center of the planet, and they'll seal it. Garcia says the adventures led by Nathan Lynn, played by Skarsgård. Since the beginning of the movie, it's not a spoiler to reveal the mission goes catastrophically wrong. According to Garcia, and the world is left in even greater disarray. Interesting. Return to Skull Island. Skull Island has been changed quite a bit in 40 years since audiences last saw 2017's Kong Skull Island, and so has its boss, Kong. He was only an adolescent in the previous film, but is now a much bigger boy, of about 130 feet tall compared to Godzilla's 400 feet, and has been seen some action in ensuing decades. As you guys can see right here, they say he's about 350 feet. Remember, they saw concept art and stuff and have all the information. It is it is a tough existence in Skull Island, says Garcia, so he's a little weathered. He has some battle scars. Kong has often gained a friend in a young Skull Island, or has also gained a young friend named Native Gia, with whom Kong can directly communicate with via a spiritual bond, according to Wingard. He has learned some new skills. Garcia promises he remains the Kong audiences know he doesn't breathe fire, but the few tricks up his sleeve by virtue of being in the modern world that may include the Thor-worthy battle axe he wields in the trailer. Alright, so here comes one of the first big spoilers. At the end of this next section, they literally say who wins the Antarctica battle. Wow, oh my god. Wins the aircraft carrier battle, so if you don't want to hear, back out now. The first battle, Garcia calls the large-scale action sequence behind the first Godzilla and Kong battle at C1 of the first ideas that Wingard pitched when he boarded the project in 2017, nearly 2 years after the project was announced, and after a legendary move from Universal to Warner Bros. The fight is the first of at 2 meetings of the main monsters. Another is the massive third act, set in the slightly futuristic Hong Kong, says Garcia, where Kong parkours, through the city on skyscrapers. A definite step up from merely scaling the Empire State Building. As for who comes out on top in the end, that remains to be seen, but at least the first one's expected to be a draw. So right here, you guys heard it. The first battle, it sounds like it's going to be a draw. This is not new info for me. I've known this for a long time now, but it's just nice to be able to actually talk about it since an official source mentioned it. It's not often you get to talk about stuff like this that's not a leak, so I can actually talk about this without it being leaked. But yes, the first battle seems like it's going to be a draw. It seems pretty confident now. So, journey to the center of the Hollow Earth. The Monarch will explore the setting of the Hollow Earth, aided by science fiction anti-gravity vehicles called HEVs, Hollow Earth Aerial Vehicles. I thought it was anti-gravity. Garcia says Hollow Earth is 10 times the scope of what we've seen on Skull Island, with rich, varied ecosystems filled with life and diversity of the terrain. Aesthetically, it takes inspiration from Hawaii's lava fields, as well as greenery of Walmay on the island, and it's in Hollow Earth where we see those hints of other titans that were first glimpsed in the trailer. They find in the center of the Earth an ancient site that suggests eons ago there was a balance between humans and creatures, a kind of reverence, a greater connection, he adds. With Kong, he is the last of his kind, and in the Hollow Earth there is hope that he will find another. He discovers these environments and ancient evidence of other Kongs, but there aren't any. So Kong looks like he might be trying to find another member of his species, so that's interesting. They're claiming there isn't any, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're going to actually introduce one. Production designer Owen Patterson says Wingard and Garcia discussed that with him the notion that the Iwi tribe seen in Kong Skull Island may have made their way into the Hollow Earth thousands of years ago, and remnants of the culture may exist. As hinted at the mid-credit scene King of the Monsters, which featured cave paintings of Kong and Godzilla species fighting one another, he says Kong species and Godzilla species had lived in the same environment before something occurred that led to the destructive battle, and the later ultimately went to sleep until the events of 2014. They kind of left out Awakening, but we won't talk about that. So apparently the Kong Godzilla war just kind of ended with Godzilla going to sleep. And here it implies that Godzilla soloed the Kong species. So that's pretty nuts if Godzilla took out the whole Kong species on his own. Production designer Tom Hancock says they also drew inspirations for the Hollow Earth from ancient human civilizations such as, oh my god, I'm not saying that, in Turkey and the Assyrians of the Mesopotamia. Architecturally, oh my god. He adds they went for a look where the buildings are carved in the stone, like the early peoples did in India and Ethiopia. We carried those looks with the idea that ancient humans all over the world were interacting with these creatures and forming that bit of civilization with Kong and the Hollow Earth. For For his part, Garcia doesn't specifically say Kong and Godzilla have a history together, but he does acknowledge that there are some kinds of ancient history and discoveries in the Hollow Earth, a deeper backstory to the characters. Kong has an emotional journey in the film, but Godzilla similarly has his reasons for behaving the way he does. Wingard said Kong is also a human. I don't know that word, so if anyone, I'll have to look that up. That's interesting. That allows the audience to experience things through him. One of the most important things going into this film was treating Godzilla and Kong like actual characters. But they're not just big props that are kind of in the background, Wingard says. It's like they have personalities and they have definitive things that they will and won't do. Human element. Following the events of King of the Monsters and their mother's belief that the Titans are meant to heal the Earth from mankind's destruction, Brown's character, Madison, becomes an advocate for the creature and serves as the emotional proxy for him. Godzilla is a misunderstood hero fighting for us. Even though we are afraid of things greater than us and we are constantly fighting against them, says Garcia, Madison believes he is not necessarily benevolent, but what Godzilla wants is also good for mankind. There must be some reason he's doing this. Brown calls Madison basically a badass. This character has grown up since the last movie and is following in the footsteps of her mother. A monarch and is following the footsteps of her mother. A monarch paleobiologist, oh my god, turned environmental extremist who believes Godzilla is the savior for the planet, played by Vera Farmiga. She wears her mother's jacket everywhere she goes and studies what makes Godzilla tick. It's much more about the technical side of it, learning about the data of him as a Titan, Brown says. Madison's father, Mark, again played by Kyle Chandler, is a director for Monarch, and while he's on the Kong mission, she comes to believe Apex is involved in the conspiracy behind Godzilla's bizarre behavior. Titanic monsters aside, if a tech secret agenda and Hollow Earth theories sound like YouTube videos shared on Facebook by an Reddit relative, that's not a coincidence. Garcia says conspiracy theories are a through line in the movie as a way of exploring why people come up with these ideas and how a theory speaks to things we are afraid of. As Madison sets out to investigate, she is joined by her friend Josh, Julian Jensen, and Bernie, Brian Tyree Henry, a former Apex employee who lost his wife and runs a podcast seeking to expose his former bosses. Together, the misfit trio tries to uncover the mystery at the center of Apex and the sci-fi environs of the company. These include a scene filmed on a soundstage set dominant by a 60-foot long Ghidorah skull wired into a high-tech control station. It's unclear whether it belongs to King Ghidorah, who lost one of his heads in King of the Monsters, but Wingard did confirm in a subtle way Ghidorah kind of haunts this movie. A skull was connected with multicolored cables to a computer terminal and an artificial brain, along with signs reading sonic output and biomech. There's a command seat and a headset on the platform, assembled by a ramp leading up to the kaiju's mouth. In the scene, Madison leads Josh and Bernie into the mouth to infiltrate the station. Here you guys can see it is. I just want to mention this real quick because I didn't mention it in the last video. If you look in the corner right there, you can actually see Mechagodzilla. You can see his blueprint right there that we see in the trailer. So that's pretty cool. But we're gonna get back to this here soon because there's something very interesting. Mechagodzilla? Connected to this is Ren Zarazawa, the son of Ken Watanabe's Monarch scientist character from the previous two Godzilla movies seen in the trailer against a mech schematic. And Ren means protecting the Earth is very different from the Pro-Titan's father. Based on other glimpses in the trailer of a suited-up Godzilla and the toy images that leaked at the beginning of 2020, it seems a mech will arrive in the new movie, although it remains to be seen if it's Apex-controlled Mechagodzilla, Mecha King Ghidorah, or something else entirely. For perhaps all three are in play, Godzilla and Kong will eventually have a reason to team up and fight together. According to production designers on the film, another sci-fi inspired element, or perhaps something out of a James Bond movie, will be present at the Apex headquarters atop Hong Kong's Victoria Peak, with an installation built deep within, reaching down into the earth, as well as the mech control room. The base will be setting for the monsters showdown. Patterson explains our heroes will arrive in Hong Kong via a shuttle transforming skullcrawler eggs. What? Really? Huh. And end up in an area confronted by one of Kong's hometown foes. This is only one of the ways Godzilla and Kong ties elements together from each of the MonsterVerse movies. Garcia also hints the film digs deep into a mythological past Get out of here. What are you doing? Mythological past, and Godzilla creator Toho Studio speaks of the new creatures and other creatures in the film. He also says both lead monsters are fighting for something, and neither is antagonist of in the movie, and that there's complexity to their motives. Despite the potential nuisance of the monster on monster violence, there does not appear to be a shortage of it in Godzilla vs Kong, with Hancock saying the two main beasts meet several times. And there's a good bet Godzilla will get a chance to return the sucker punch Kong delivers in the trailer. Godzilla vs. Kong premieres on HBO Max streaming this March. Oh, there you guys go. New article. Tons of stuff confirmed in this. I didn't even realize, like, so apparently skullcrawler eggs are what brings them to, so that's interesting. That's very interesting. Going back to what I was saying about this image earlier, because something I noticed. So a lot of the articles are saying they believe that Mechagodzilla is controlled by something like the Drift. Look at this. So according to this article, this is Ghidorah's brain. This is a seat. That is a helmet for someone to sit in and put this helmet on. That's connected to Ghidorah's brain. So yes, it looks like Ghidorah will be piloted via. There, you can see Ren right there. Looks like Ghidorah will in fact be piloted just like the Drift. Very interesting. If we look right here, we can see Ren sitting in the chair with the helmet behind him, like he's getting ready to activate it. All the Mechagodzilla stuff. So this is all very interesting. We'll see how this goes, but yes, it's very interesting. Can't wait to hear more though, so can't wait to see it soon. And yeah, so I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video, as always, please share, subscribe. Hope everyone has a good day. As always, peace out and bye bye.